नमस्कारः लता श्रीधर जी। भवती मां जानन्ति किम्?
न मम तु अहमिदं मम तु परिचयः अस्ति, श्रुतं भवतः भाषणं सर्वं श्रुतं।
लता श्रीधर कृते वदामि।
लता, भवती
चिन्ता मास्तु,
महोदयं
चिन्ता
जानाति वा
मास्तु,
इति?
चिन्ता मास्तु।
चिन्ता मास्तु।
आचार्यस्य विषये निश्चयेन वयं सर्वे श्रुतवन्तः एव।
बाडं बाडं
जनाः आगच्छन्ति, अस्माभिः आयोजितव्यं। सर्वे जागरूकतया भवन्तु, अड्मिट् कुर्वन्तु प्लीज, कृपया।
करोमि मैम।
अनुषा
कुर्वन्ती अस्मि मैम।
एकदा
राजेश मिश्रा महोदय नमस्कारः।
नमो नमः। नमो नमः।
विजयवाणी।
प्रारंभं कुर्वन्तु महोदय।
हाँ सर। I now request Usha ma'am to commence the meeting with a prayer.
म्यूट् अस्ति।
एक निमिषं महोदय। उषा मैम।
समाहारसाम्नां प्रतिपदमृचां धाम यजुषां लयः प्रत्यूहानां लहरिविततिर्बोधजलधेः कथादर्पक्षुभ्यत्कथककुलकोलाहलभवम् हरत्वन्तर्ध्वान्तं हयवदन हेषाहलहलः। अनुषा भगिनी।
Thank you ma'am. Thank you ma'am. I now request Dr. Durga to welcome the gathering. Dr. Durga, can you please unmute and speak? Dr. Durga?
श्रूयते किं? दुर्गा देवी श्रूयते किं?
नो चेत् अयमेव कृत्वा उपरि गच्छामः वा?
नो चेत् अहमेव वेल्कम्
कुर्वन्तु कुर्वन्तु।
अहमेव स्वयं करोमि वा?
भवत्येव कुर्वन्तु।
कुर्वन्तु
भवतु।
तथा।
सर्वेषां कृते सादरं प्रणामः। अद्य वयं तत्र आदरणीयाः विद्वांसः, अध्यापकाः, शोधकाः, छात्राश्च अस्माकम् इदानीं संस्कृतभाषाशिक्षणम् अतीतं वर्तमानं भविष्यच्च इति विषयकस्य अन्तर्जालीय व्याख्यान समारोहे सर्वेभ्यः हार्दं सुस्वागतं कुर्मः। तत्र अस्माकं सौभाग्यं यत् अस्माकं प्रमुखमान्यः डॉक्टर नागराजपटूरी महोदयः महाभागाः अस्मिन् समारोहे मुख्यातिथिरूपेण सन्निहितः। ते संस्कृतशास्त्रेषु भारतीयज्ञानपरम्परायां सांस्कृतिकचिन्तायां च अतिप्रख्यातः आचार्यः सन्ति। तस्य विद्वता, तस्य अनुभवः, तस्य दृष्टयः च अस्मान् अतीतानां शिक्षणपरम्पराणाम् अवगमाय वर्तमानस्य परिप्रेक्ष्यस्य विवेचनाय भविष्यस्य शिक्षणमार्गस्य च प्रेक्षणाय बोधयिष्यन्ति। तेषां सन्निधिना अस्माकं कार्यक्रमः शोभां गम्भीरतां च प्राप्य विशिष्यते। ते महाभागाः अस्माकं हार्दम् अभिनन्दनं स्वीकुर्युः इति प्रार्थयामः। Now at the outset, I welcome all who are gathered here, and I thankfully welcome the authorities of all the colleges, the organizing colleges, for this event. I thank them also for permitting us to do this collaborative activity, which will benefit all the faculty and the students of all the collaborating colleges. I welcome Mishra ji from Global Sanskrit Forum for giving us this platform in which we can all come together and work for Sanskrit. So I welcome all the organizing committee members and all other people, and I extend a very hearty and special welcome to our chief guest, Dr. Paturi. And let me just introduce him to you all. It is my privilege today to introduce our chief guest of our online event today, Dr. Nagaraj Paturi, whose intellectual work has become luminous in the fields of Sanskrit, Indian Knowledge System IKS, and interdisciplinary cultural studies. Dr. Paturi holds an MPhil, which is very unique, in which he propounded that what he calls it as Paninian linguistic theory, arguing that Bhartrhari's Vakyapadiyam provides the underpinning theoretical foundation for Panini's Ashtadhyayi, and that this has implications for universal principles of language, that is language-free concepts, which is so very unique for our linguistic studies. His PhD in the University of Hyderabad is a pioneering study that draws Vedic parallels with anthropology, psychology, physiology, and aesthetics, also linking them to classical Telugu poetics and cultural paradigms. Later, he served with a distinction as a professor of Sanskrit and head of the Department of Sanskrit from Osmania University, Hyderabad. He got trained in Sanskrit and Advaita Vedanta under the guidance of his father, the distinguished scholar Sri Paturi Sri Sitarama Anjaneyalu, which grounded him in traditional scholarship from an early age. He currently serves as director of Inter-Gurukula University Center, IGUC of Indic Academy, Indica. He was recently elevated to the Kulapati, that is Chancellor or President of Indica, leading its strategic and academic initiatives. He is distinguished professor, curriculum designer, and a member of the Executive Committee and Board of Studies at MIT School of Vedic Sciences, Pune. He also holds advisory and board roles in Chinmaya Vishwavidyapita, Kavi Kulaguru Kalidasa Sanskrit University, and Veda Vijnana Gurukula. Earlier, he served as a senior professor of cultural studies and has taught in the institutions such as Flame University, DJ Academy of Design, Coimbatore, NID Bengaluru, and MIT Institute of Design, Pune, especially in domains of semiotics, ethnography, aesthetics, and research methodology. He has also been a visiting faculty at the University of Chicago, where he introduced Indian traditions and Sanskritic paradigms to global academic audiences. Dr. Paturi has authored over 120 publications spanning Indian knowledge systems, linguistics, mythology, cultural studies, and philosophy. He has presented 60 plus conference papers on Vedic sciences and folk cultural topics. He has completed multiple research and consultancy projects and has around 35 published works and 45 paper presentations in the domain of Vedic aesthetics, classical literature, traditional grammar, and folk classical interface. Among his more innovative theoretical contributions is Vedic model of myth criticism, wherein he blends cultural anthropology, psychoanalysis, philosophy, and aesthetics to propose new ways of interpreting myth in Indic traditions. His MPhil theory on Vakyapadiyam and Ashtadhyayi as universal grammar has attracted engagements in linguistics and Sanskritic theory circles. Apart from this, he has consultancy in cultural research projects involving theater, dance, literature, and script writing. He has worked on field-based topics such as religious transgenderism, ritual officiating subcastes, yogic mystic folk songs, Bonalu festival studies, and the dynamics of folk classical intersections. He is also well known as a Telugu poet and a practitioner of Ashtavadana, the literary mnemonic art of simultaneous creative composition in multiple threads. Dr. Paturi is uniquely positioned to address Sanskrit education across cultures. His work embodies the synthesis of rigorous traditional scholarship and modern academic frameworks. He has labored to integrate Sanskrit pedagogy and Indian intellectual traditions into the structures of contemporary universities, while also advocating for global dialogues that recognize the cultural pluralism and internal logic of Indic knowledge systems. Under his leadership, Indica aims to foster academic ecosystems where Sanskrit and Indian systems are not marginalized relics, but living, evolving disciplines that engage with global cultural, educational, and philosophical currents. His voice brings both historical depth and future facing vision. So it is really, he is the befitting person to deliver on our topic. I now request you all to join me in welcoming Dr. Nagaraj Paturi as he takes us on a journey through the past, present, and future of Sanskrit education in multiple cultural context. So hearty welcome, sir. Respectful welcome to you, sir. We all await to listen to you. And again, once again, I welcome all who are gathered here and also the other people who have supported us in organizing this. Thank you.
Namaste. Jnananandamayan devam nirmalasphatikakrutim Adharam sarva vidyanam hayagreevamupasmahe Gurave sarvalokanam bhishade bhavaroginam Nidhaye sarva vidyanam dakshinamurtaye namaha. When Usha Srinivasanji approached my organization for suggesting a name as suitable for this topic, it was I who actually volunteered all by myself without actually suggesting some other name. I volunteered to take up this topic because this topic is not just close to my heart. I have been involved in multiple debates and discussions and arguments around this topic on several different platforms. So instead of generally giving a very insipid, neutral, historical tracing about the topic of Sanskrit education around the world, its past, present, and future, I thought I would be in a position to share my own personal journey in this area in the form of interacting with global scholarship on the topic and the issues, the problems, and the solutions that the field is facing. For that purpose, the best way to go about is to divide the Sanskrit education into basically two major categories: Sanskrit education within India, within Bharat, and Sanskrit education outside Bharat. And the tone generally that we find in whenever we deal with topics of this kind is a tone of lamentation that things are going bad, things are going in a disappointing direction, and so on. That's what happens when we take up topics of this kind also, Sanskrit education kind of topics also. Just a few days ago, 1 or 2 days ago, there was a mention by one of my friends who lives in England that classical language education, that is education in Greek language and Latin language in Western universities, is going down. While sharing that information, he was saying, oh, it is the same as what is happening to Sanskrit in Bharat also. But that comparison is completely misplaced. I had to tell him that that comparison is completely coming out of a misunderstanding, because the major difference, friends, all of you, please remember, between classical languages like Greek and Latin of the West and Sanskrit is that the classical languages of the West, like Greek and Latin, are not having any living culture or living tradition associated with them. So, any situation about the classical language study regarding languages like Greek and Latin is associated with a loss of the living tradition of those cultures, those languages. Whereas for Sanskrit, the actual situation is that the living culture associated with Sanskrit language is vibrant and dynamic and very much living in all its vibrance in Bharat, and to use the contemporary American area studies language, in the South Asian countries, we can say, particularly countries like Nepal and Sri Lanka. So, the thriving nature of Sanskrit education in Bharat and the neighboring countries cannot be compared to the losing trend of patronage for the study of other classical languages, particularly of the West, like Greek and Latin. The study of Sanskrit also in the Western universities is gradually coming down. There is a lamentation. I am in the groups, some of the groups where the Western scholars studying Sanskrit are members. I notice, I observe lamentations coming from different countries of the world where Sanskrit departments are mentioned by them to be losing patronage from the governmental and non-governmental funding agencies. These losses and these declines that they are reporting from the Western university departments of Sanskrit, involving Sanskrit, we should say. Actually, for the benefit of the younger scholars who may not know, I want to share that the departments where Sanskrit education thrives in the Western universities include Indology departments, comparative religion departments, history of religions departments, religious studies departments, and occasionally the department itself is called a department of Sanskrit studies. So in all these departments, Sanskrit education thrives in the Western universities, and there gradually the focus on, say, for example, an area like Indology shifted into a new area called area of studies called South Asian studies. So the focus on India was shifted to a broader, a new area of studies framework called South Asian studies. And the funding for these departments from the beginning was always linked with the geopolitical strategies of the respective governments also. And the geopolitical strategies of these respective governments changed after the Cold War. Once the unipolar world started emerging with America remaining to be the single pole, and now multiple poles emerging from India, China, and uh, other countries also emerging as competitors within this group, and Russia emerging back into another pole in the geopolitical politics. These geopolitical biases are also changing towards funding of various world languages and the cultures in the various world universities. Because of that, gradually there is a decline from the governments in, say, for example, in Germany or in France or some of the European countries in the funding for Sanskrit education in those universities. Whereas this lamentation about Sanskrit education in India is completely misplaced, because what we see today in India is a shift from a Sanskrit department existing in a very general university where you have sciences schools or sciences faculties, and you have social sciences faculties or schools which were earlier called arts faculty or arts schools, and humanities schools or humanities faculties, which were originally part of the arts faculty only, but now the language departments are becoming part of these humanities schools or humanities faculties. And Sanskrit education or Sanskrit department in a university is generally a part of only that school, which was earlier only art school, now humanities school. But gradually, government of India started Sanskrit universities. There are state level Sanskrit universities and central Sanskrit universities also. Now there is a huge number of Sanskrit universities, both from state level and the central level emerging. And one of these Sanskrit universities, central Sanskrit universities, particularly the Central Sanskrit University in Delhi, is having campuses almost all over India. That's such a huge campus with a very big number of faculty members and students. So that makes Sanskrit education so widely received, so vibrantly received, and a greater micro level focus on specific areas of Sanskrit education. While there were only Sanskrit departments as part of humanities or arts schools in the universities, Sanskrit education was a language education along with other language departments like Tamil department or English department in the university. But now, with Sanskrit universities emerging, Sanskrit education is no longer a language education. It's not a Sanskrit language education. You have separate schools that are established, for example, school of Darshanas, school of Sahitya, school of Vyakarana, school of several different specific areas of Sanskrit studies like Ayurveda and other practical fields like what Chanakya and Arthashastra calls Varta areas. And Benares Hindu University, though it's a wider general type of university, has got a school for Paurohitya also. It has got a school of practical training in Shrauta and Smarta and Paurohitya and other areas also. And such schools exist in the general bigger Sanskrit universities also. And at the school level and pre-university level and undergraduate university level also, Sanskrit is taught as a second language. And there are, for reasons good or bad, fortunately or unfortunately, at a pre-university level, there is a great choice, registration for Sanskrit as a second language. People allege that it is because the evaluation of Sanskrit at pre-university level is highly liberal and students are choosing it only for marks. Whatever is the reason, Sanskrit second language at a pre-university level is thriving in a very big way, and Sanskrit qualified teachers for pre-university level are getting very good jobs also because of that. And what happens to the Sanskrit education at a university level is when you have a scope for jobs, the demand for the postgraduate level courses and research level courses like MPhil and PhD also depends on the number of opportunities that you get at the school and college level as faculty members. There was a discussion in one of the Western Indology groups where they were so unaware of what is happening in India with regard to Sanskrit education that they were saying that women are completely discouraged from studying Sanskrit. And we were trying to tell them that, oh, that's not the truth. There is a huge number of women studying Sanskrit in Indian universities. And we all met. Professor Srinivasa Varakedi, present Vice Chancellor of Central Sanskrit University, Delhi, was the Vice Chancellor at that time of Kavikula Guru Kalidasa Sanskrit University at Nagpur, Ramtek. I was there, he was there. We were all discussing among ourselves about this allegation from the Western Indologists that women were not studying Sanskrit. And there was a huge number of women Sanskrit faculty standing behind us, and they started laughing aloud. And they came to us and they were asking, Sir, who said this? Look at us. We are 80% in this university. Sanskrit faculty are 80% in this university. And look at the students also. Majority of the students studying courses in our university is also women only. So this is what we have to observe when there are faculty opportunities, teaching opportunities at pre-university level and school level and undergraduate level, then what happens is because of this observation that we have about gender difference between career choices, teaching careers are mostly chosen by women because it is teaching career opportunity that comes from Sanskrit, Tamil, English, or any other language courses. In most of the humanities departments of the universities, you have women students joining postgraduate courses in big numbers than in, say, a very heavy engineering course like mechanical engineering or mining or metallurgy or some such courses. When my son was studying in +2, there was a Tata Institute of Social Science researcher who was visiting his college and was doing a field work about how many students choose mathematics, physics, chemistry group and how many students choose biology, physics, chemistry group at the pre-university level in respect of gender. And then she was telling, because he was studying in an MPC college, mathematics, physics, chemistry college, she was saying, see, there is a gender disparity here. Uh, there are very small number of women studying in your college. Men or boys are more in number, was what she was saying. My son told me that the girl student sitting in her class only replied to that lady saying, Madam, did you go to a biology college where students are pursuing medicine as their option? We are all sitting here to pursue engineering. You have come to this college. Please go to the college where students are studying for medicine. There, the number of girls is bigger, number of boys in the college is very less. So the career choices, gender-based career choice statistics, if you take, some professions have more number of women taking them, some professions have more number of men taking them. So in the same way, teaching careers also are chosen more by women than men. And because Sanskrit has got a more teaching opportunity in it, because of more students choosing Sanskrit at the school level, particularly at the plus two level, uh, because there are teacher and junior college teachers, pre-university teacher faculty opportunities, jobs available in Sanskrit, there is a lot of demand for postgraduate degrees in Sanskrit, and universities are able to run those courses there. And another thing which people who lament about Sanskrit, comparing it to Greek and Latin, do not notice is a highly vibrant and thriving Gurukula education in Sanskrit in India. There is a very dynamic and vibrant and very rich Shastra education, Gurukula education. This does not happen to Greek and Latin because of the loss of living tradition there. The same thing would have happened, say, in Athens, somewhere in the classical times of Greece, when Greek was a vibrant tradition there. Classical languages and classical cultures in Greece were thriving in a very big way. Gurukula education, Greek language, Gurukula education in Latin education, Latin also would have been thriving well there. But because of huge conversion, almost 100% conversion of the Greek people and the Italian people into Christianity, the loss of the living tradition of Greek and Latin, the comparable Gurukula education in those countries is now completely extinct. It is not there at all. Whereas in India, Shastra Gurukulas are thriving very well. There are Griha Gurukulas where the teacher teaches Shastras only at home. Uh, Shastra students go to the teacher, stay with the teacher, fed by the teacher, fed by the Guru Mata. Uh, and there are separate Shastra Gurukulas that are patronized by some rich people. There are some Shastra Gurukulas that are patronized by organizations like Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam's TTD and Sri Rangam Temple in Trichy, where you are sitting now. So, in all these areas, the Shastra Gurukulas are thriving. Agama education in Pancharatra, in Vaikhanasa, in Shaiva Agamas, all these Agama education is thriving. There is Shrauta education, though in a very weak way. Shrauta compared to Smarta and Agama, Shrauta has become very small in size and very less in choice and all that. But still, there is a lot of Shrauta education that is happening at a home level and also in some Gurukulas. There are Veda Pathashalas. Actually, we think of funding Veda Pathashalas and Chatra Pathashalas. I have a circle of granting rich people. They come to me and they say, I have grants. Please suggest where I can go and start funding, every time what happens is they do not take the choice of funding a Veda Pathashala because they say that there is a lot of funding already happening to them. What is not getting good funding is Shastra Pathashalas. So we prefer funding Shastra Pathashalas is what they say. So Veda Pathashalas are thriving in such a good shape. TTD has many Shastra Pathashalas. They are also thriving very well. TTD has entire Sanskrit based education right from 6th standard level. There is a Sanskrit medium education run by TTD. We have one in the place where I am living now, in the Twin City, Secunderabad. I live in Hyderabad, just in the Twin City, Secunderabad. There is a TTD college which runs in an entirely in Sanskrit medium. The entire education is in Sanskrit medium. So the situation in India, in Bharat, with regard to Sanskrit education is not so poor as to lament the way people generally who do not have a right understanding of the ground reality about Sanskrit education keep lamenting. The situation of Greek and Latin and other classical languages of the world is not comparable at all. There is a very good situation for Sanskrit education that is happening here. Add to this the spoken Sanskrit movement that has come from Samskrita Bharati and other organizations. What Samskrita Bharati kind of organizations created now, which people would not have imagined at all some few decades ago, some 2 decades ago, is that in the corporate bodies, in the government bodies, there is a huge number, a very big number of corporate employees, software employees, doctors and engineers, and government administrative staff who are able to speak Sanskrit now because of Samskrita Bharati's activities. And what happened, our own experience when we were running MIT School of Vedic Sciences as part of MIT IDT University in Pune, when we wanted to start an MA in Sanskrit, we were imagining how many would join that course. But I proposed in the very beginning to my friend and dean, Dr. Sai Susarla, who was running the school as the dean, that if we announce that Samskrita Bharati products can join the MA course, the application number will grow. It happened. It actually happened when we said that spoken Sanskrit competence is the qualification for the MA. We don't need any other previous qualification for MA Sanskrit. People with BTech degrees or medical degrees also can join the MA Sanskrit course. But if they have competence in Sanskrit, then believe me, we received 1,024 applications for just that MA course. And that kind of urge is developing among the people who are learning spoken Sanskrit. They start imagining, okay, now I'm able to speak Sanskrit. What next? What can I do now? And they're then thinking, can I now use this for studying scriptures? Can I go to Bhagavad Gita, for example, and use my spoken Sanskrit capabilities to study Bhagavad Gita or Vedanta texts or Upanishads and all that? They gradually realize that their Samskrita Bharati level of Sanskrit is not sufficient to go, say, for example, to the Vedic Sanskrit or to the Shastric terminology that you have in different Shastras like Nyaya, Mimamsa, Vedanta, and Vyakarana. But they have developed such a strong, urgent, intense dedication for Sanskrit studies that they are spending time to learn the technical terminology of these Shastras also. But gradually it may develop. Currently, that is not developing, that the Sanskrit scholars are not offering, say, an advanced Nyaya course. for a person who does not have a Gurukula education in Nyaya earlier. It is justified only. Actually, the traditional Nyaya education, Badhanta, what they call Badhanta Nyaya education, or Bhashyanta Vyakarana education, or Bhashyanta Vedanta education, or Bhashyanta Mimamsa education, that is not possible just for the modern corporate employees with Samskrita Bharati background. That's true. But times have changed. People have to realize that that kind of insistence that you must have 12 years of Gurukula education if you want to study Shabara Bhashya, if you want to study Brahmasutra Bhashya, you must have had 12 years of Prakarana Grantha education earlier in Advaita Vedanta, or you must have started with Kaumudi and then only you can come up to Mahabhashya in Vyakarana. This has to change. People have to gradually realize that there is a new urge coming up across the castes and communities, across the genders, I should say across the religions also. When Professor V.N. Jha was teaching a Nyaya course through English to contemporary people, modern people in Kerala, a Christian Keralite student was so much impressed by his course that he donated 4-acre land to start a Sanskrit Shastra education college there. So even Christians are like in Kerala, they are getting interested in this. There are Muslim Sanskrit scholars teaching in, say, Allahabad University. The head of the department of Allahabad University Sanskrit department was a Muslim. So gradually, there is a wider expectation developing among people. So the traditional insistence that, oh no, I'm not going to teach you unless you had this long 12-year background of studying Shastra and all that, that may not work. That is why I'm able to see now many Shastra scholars also opening up their courses for an online teaching through English also, and insisting that some basic background in Sanskrit speaking or some Sanskrit language knowledge would be enough. They are starting to teach Nyaya already directly through an online course, uh, giving admissions to corporate employees, doctors, and engineers, and others. And add to this another impetus that has come from the IKS movement, what we call IKS movement now. We were starting our IKS departments. For example, myself and Dr. Sai Susarla started MIT School of Vedic Sciences at MIT ADT University in Pune way back when IKS division under the Ministry of Education was not started. Now I'm tracing the history of IKS education in India. I'm able to see that books that are useful for IKS education were written way back in 1882, 1872, 1895 by people like Jadunath Sarkar and others in Bengal. Uh, Already Indic psychology circles were developing. People who were inspired by Aurobindo movement started IPI website. uh, Professor Anand Paranjape from United States, he developed this circle and they started a website where all the repository of Indic psychology articles were already uploaded. And Gita in management was a big fad in all the IIMs and management colleges. So well before IKS division was started under Ministry of Education, already what today is being called IKS was thriving in a very strong way, and that uh, actually probably at the time of NEP 2020 when it was being drafted, the committee members of NEP 2020 came to know that already IKS was happening all over the country in different forms, And they probably thought that they should incorporate that into the new policy, new education policy. They incorporated that. And IKS division was also started under Ganti Suryanarayan Murthy Garu as part of Ministry of Education. But one decision of starting IKS division under Ministry of Education created such a huge traction, such a huge impetus for IKS now that IKS has now become a household word. Almost in all the schools and colleges and universities and corners of India, everywhere, all kinds of colleges, professional colleges and academic colleges, small colleges and big colleges, in small towns and big cities, everywhere, IKS is now a household word. And which education gets support from IKS? Particularly Sanskrit education only. And the people pursuing Sanskrit education who were in a despondency at that time that, oh, no one listens to me, no one has a care for me. And people at home also, in their relative circles also, looking at these people studying Sanskrit education as those who study some language which has no contemporary application at all, are all now looking up to Sanskrit scholars after this IKS movement. And all the colleges like engineering colleges, particularly say, for example, IITs now have IKS centers in them. So IKS centers in IITs are inviting Sanskrit scholars to learn from them what is IKS and how to take the help of Sanskrit scholars to build IKS departments in their colleges and all that. So now Sanskrit education is receiving a new impetus after the impetus given to IKS by incorporating something that was already happening in its own way into NEP 2020 and starting an IKS division under Ministry of Education. Now a huge development has come and Sanskrit education is receiving a very big support. And Professor Varakedi of Central Sanskrit University of Delhi, just a few weeks ago, months ago, started another new idea of incorporating Shastra scholar teaching in IITs, connecting Shastra scholars to IITs. Shastra scholars coming from Gurukulas to the IKS departments of the IITs. So, this kind of imaginations that were not at all imagined just a few years ago or few months ago, all new ideas are emerging. And Sanskrit education is now receiving a big fillip because of all these new developments, Samskrita Bharati's activities, this global Sanskrit forums activities, all these different bodies which are dedicated for Sanskrit education, new kind of fillip is emerging for Sanskrit education all over. There are other problems, contemporary political problems, but I suggest not to give too much of attention to all these political problems because they are completely hypocritical. When they were lamenting that Sanskrit education was not being given to certain communities, they said you are not giving Sanskrit education to all communities. But when it is being given to all communities, they are saying that, oh, you are forcing Sanskrit upon people, you are bringing Sanskrit into CBSE schools, Kendriya Vidyalayas. Actually, that did not happen. While Smriti Irani ji was in the Ministry of Education, what happened there was, as part of third language, German was being taught under some clandestine program where teachers were being given some encouragement to go to Germany. So, under that attraction, Sanskrit as third language was removed and replaced by German. What Smriti Irani ji did there was just reversing the situation and bringing back Sanskrit in its own place where German was introduced. But all these political groups, they started saying, "Oh, you are forcing Sanskrit into Kendriya Vidyalayas." So these people will keep doing these hypocritical shenanigan activities all the time. There is no uh, 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 there is no use in paying much attention to all these people. Best way is to keep working, using the new opportunities that we are getting. For example, through IKS, the courses that I taught were courses in design colleges. I was giving talks in Ramakrishna University, Sanskrit University, which is called RKM Berry, which is in Belur. Then I was telling the students there that the students can go and teach in design colleges. Design aesthetics can be taught. Design semiotics can be taught. New design ideas can be taught. You can use Thapatya and Vastu ideas and teach in design colleges. You can teach in film studies institutes, institutes of film studies. For example, Itivritta Panchasandhi analysis that comes from Rupaka Shastra. There was a discussion in one Western Indology group. One scholar from Canada, who was a doctor actually, living in Canada, he raised a question. Is there any analysis of story in Sanskrit courses, in Sanskrit books? Then the entire Indology group was silent. It was not saying anything. Then I brought the discussion about Panchasandhis there. Then they said, "Oh, this is just Rupaka Shastra." But actually, if you look at the way Panchasandhi is Arthopakshepakas and Kriyavastas and their Panchasandhis are analyzed, the examples given in most of the Shastra books are from Ramayana, which is a Kavya. So it is a general Itivritta analysis. It is not limited to Rupaka Shastra. And if you look at the five-stage story analysis of exposition, development, climax, denouement, and conclusion that is taught in most of the film studies courses all over the world, they say that it has been brought from Aristotle. It's not true. Actually, this five-stage story analysis developed much later to Aristotle. But Panchasandhi analysis, which is much more robust and nuanced and deeper compared to the five-stage story analysis of the Western plot analysis, story analysis, if it is taken into film studies institutes for script writers, for story writers, then there is going to be a huge attraction for Sanskrit education in film studies courses. And just tomorrow, Indica is organizing a 2-day symposium on statecraft, governance, and leadership. And we received around 45 abstracts to come as speakers. And we selected 2:1 ratio. And we are organizing talks, each talk 45 minutes for 2 days, tomorrow and day after. It is just on one topic, statecraft, governance, and leadership. And there is a huge demand from civil services training institutes in the country. IAS, selected IAS candidates in their early IAS career, they are taught in, say, for example, in Labasna, in Mussoorie, IAS people are taught. IRS civil services selected candidates are taught. In all these places, Modi government introduced what is called as a Karma Yogi project as part of the Capacity Building Commission, CBC. One R. Balasubramanian ji was invited from United States and he developed this Karma Yogi project. And we were giving a workshop in Delhi as part of this Capacity Building Commission to administrative officers, senior officials. Then now there is a huge demand in all these civil services training institutes to come and teach IKS to the administrators, to teach statecraft governance and leadership ideas. So all the Sanskrit education products all over the country, if they come to know that there is a demand for their knowledge about Panchatantra, about Arthashastra, about Rajadharma from Itihasas and Puranas, all that they already know. They know Panchatantra, they know Hitopadesha, they know Shukraniti, they know Kamandaka, they know Arthashastra, but all these days there was no receiver for that knowledge. But now new situations are emerging for attraction. AI people, I am part of AI groups where there is a huge demand for my knowledge of Vyakarana and all these. They are all giving, they are all asking for teaching Shastras for AI development, new AI generations. So the future for Sanskrit education appears to be very, very bright, provided people engaged in Sanskrit education come to know that the new demands are growing, new relevancy is emerging. This word has to spread. Instead of just imagining about, oh, I'll become a pre-university teacher, I'll become an intermediate college teacher, I'll become a school teacher in Sanskrit. If all the people pursuing Sanskrit education realize that the relevance for their knowledge of Sanskrit, their shastras, their kavyas, their itihasas, their puranas, all this is now a new opportunities are growing, they will definitely be elated, they will be excited. This word has to spread to all the Sanskrit education places, right from Sanskrit second language students up to the Sanskrit PhD students, right from the beginner Prakarana Grantha level Gurukula student up to the Bhashya level Gurukula student in all the Shastras. If this word spreads, that there is a new demand emerging, there is a new attraction emerging, there is a new reception emerging for the Sanskrit knowledge, their excitement also will grow. And in the place of the lamenting mood, despondent mood in which currently people are, they will gradually start moving into the application areas of Sanskrit education. Earlier, whenever people thought about some modern way of studying Sanskrit education, Indological way was the only way. Indological way is history, date of Kalidasa, date of Sriharsha, whether social history can be applied to how Kalidasa writes Abhijnana Shakuntalam and all that. Indology is still hanging in that area only. All the worldwide Indologists are hanging in that westful area called historical study, dates, manuscripts, all that. But the whole world is moving completely into a different direction in Sanskrit education, and they are coming to know about this, and they are thinking, where are we? Are we still hanging about the date of Shabara, date of Prabhakara, date of Kumarila, and why Jaimini was composing his sutras at a particular time of history and all that, but they will hang out there only. The world is moving into IKS, and IKS is giving new opportunities, and Sanskrit spoken Sanskrit courses are emerging. It is not getting limited only to Sanskrit colleges and Sanskrit universities and Sanskrit departments of colleges. The world is moving in a completely different area of the society looking up to Sanskrit education people. So I would suggest to all the audience sitting here to spread the word among people pursuing Sanskrit education that the world is changing. The past of when the Europeans were coming to study Sanskrit with their own European interest of studying Indo-European languages, linguistics, historical linguistics, philology, all that has gone. Those days are gone. Now this Aryan invasion theory and out of India theory, if some people are interested, They can go even today. If some people are interested in Indology, they can go even today. But those attraction for those courses is gradually going away because people are realizing that how long can we waste our time in Aryan invasion theory, out of India theory? How long can we fight about the date of Kalidasa, whether Kalidasa is providing the scope for dating him or not? Sriharsha's date or Bana's date or Bhavabhuti's date. How many times? How long can we sit on these things? It is boring also for youngsters, for Gen Z particularly. If you talk about all these topics like Keith gave this date to Kalidasa, Wilson gave this date to Kalidasa, and I am giving this date to Kalidasa, they are not interested. Let me be very frank. They would ask you, what is this useful for? How would I use this knowledge? So Gen Z will definitely get attracted if they come to know that there is a great scope for application in Sanskrit education. So gradually, Sanskrit education should also start moving into that direction and cater to the new way of thinking that is emerging among Indian Gen Z students. And interestingly, there are NRI families, there are NRI Indians all over the world who are coming forward to send their children into Sanskrit education with this kind of attitude. So Sanskrit departments and some particular universities in United States, Sweden and Australia and other places also are catering to this new generation of NRI families which are interested in sending their children to Sanskrit education. So realizing these new developments and new potentials, I suggest to people to get grounded in the actual new developments that are taking place all over the world and spread the word that Sanskrit education is not an area where only lamentation should continue. Future is bright, present is also bright, past let us forget. Some bad things happened, some politics happened, particularly in places like Tamil Nadu. There was a lot of attack, and even today, Tamil Nadu may be a place of attacks and a lot of unnecessary politics. Uh, but why should I worry only about being in Tamil Nadu or working in a Tamil Nadu college? World is so wide, right? World is so wide is a proverbial statement from Sanskrit only, right? So we should realize that there are very great opportunities for Sanskrit education. Uh, Picture is bright. Let us spread that word. And if there are any questions from the audience, I'll take up the questions.
It was very encouraging, sir, after listening to your lecture. Actually, I was about to ask about Tamil Nadu, and finally you have given a nice reply. Even there is no need for a question. At least to some level, we are able to encourage students to take up Sanskrit. That is what we can do now. And as you said, several other things which are going on, IKS and the other things which are going on, it is really encouraging students to turn their faces towards Sanskrit. So, in spite of being in Tamil Nadu, I was about to ask a question. Then, what can we do about here? So, there is a lot of challenge we have to face in Tamil Nadu, but yet students are nowadays turning their faces towards Sanskrit, and it's very, very encouraging. And after listening to your talk, we have a very good confidence that there is a great future for Sanskrit. Thank you for providing that positive side. So it's most required for the teachers who are there in Tamil Nadu.
Yeah,
Sir,
any other
sir,
question?
Sir,
sir, namaste. Uh, permanent. I second Dr. Usha, and it had been an excellent session, vibrant session, and it was quite interesting to note that initially when you have started, I thought in Western countries or in foreign countries it should have been really superb, but in India, when you said that this has a great future for the youngsters of today, it was really astonishing and quite enthralling. And your note about the current and the future, it's quite encouraging, as Dr. Usha was mentioning. And I do second, sir. Great to hear you. This 1 hour was really vibrant and quite encouraging. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, if you are interested in going abroad to contribute to Sanskrit education there, the departments will be Indology, Comparative Religion, History of Religions, and Religious Studies departments. You should check whether you'll be interested in those areas, basically. So, this kind of thinking that first of all, I would like to go abroad, and then whatever is there in the foreign Sanskrit departments I'll do will ultimately land us into a mental conflict. Was I interested in religious studies? Basically, the way they study in the Western
Yes.
universities.
Yes.
So unnecessarily jumping to those courses and then starting to realize that, oh, these guys are not studying, say, for example, Sri Harsha that I wanted to study, or Alankara Shastra that I wanted to study. These are not interested in those areas. And the governments give funds only in those countries, governments give funds only to the Sanskrit education areas which are useful for their geopolitical strategies. So then gradually you might also realize that you are also becoming part of their geopolitical strategies. Then you will start regretting that you unnecessarily moved to those countries.
Of
I don't
course,
say
sir.
you should not go to those countries,
Yes.
but first of all, you should know what is happening there if you want to go there.
Definitely, sir. It's really true because we get twisted. Here we have the original thing, and scholars are also not being in a patashala proper. There are teachers who are teaching a lot for us, sir. They
Yeah.
truly inspire us. Sir.
Pushpendra Kumarji seems to have a question.
Please
Do you have a
unmute and ask
question,
your question,
Pushpendra?
sir.
Please unmute. Pushpendra Kumarji, please unmute and ask your question. Pushpendra Kumar Sevak. Anushaji, you unmuted, it seems. Please go ahead.
Sir, your talk has been a revealing talk in every way about the geopolitical strategies of the other funding foreign countries, and the way that you have explained about how those countries, they have been the NRI people, the population that is there, that has they are also getting interested in the Indian knowledge systems. It is now a necessity for us Sanskrit scholars who are here, who have been teaching in the literature, for us to equip more and learn more. So, are there any courses that you would suggest so that we equip ourselves to meet out the standards, emerging standards? So, is there anything like that that you would suggest to people like us?
There are many new universities that are coming up in the area of IKS. They are teaching how Sanskrit education can be uh, changed into an applied area. So actually, you are all already scholars. You are all already knowledgeable in your own Sanskrit area. All that you need is a very small course, a few hours course or a 1 week course, where you will be knowing the scope for application. Once you get the key, once you get the trick of the trade, the existing knowledge that you already have in Sanskrit can be immediately applied. Uh, you need not know the whole area. So you don't need a 1 year course or diploma course or 3 months course. All that you need is just a 1 week discussion, 1 week conversation, where you will be told how your existing knowledge can be changed into an applied knowledge. where people can benefit from your knowledge. That's all. So that kind of courses already are emerging. I'll introduce you to those institutes. Chanakya, Chinmaya University, Shri Shri University, Brihat, and many other IKS areas are emerging. I'll link you up with all those places. You can be just guided. You are all scholars, so it is not like I go and teach, say, some IAS officer. There's absolutely no knowledge about shastras or Sanskrit. There I have to start from the scratch, from the beginning, and I have to spend a lot of time to teach them. You're all already scholars, so all that I need to do is to show you some tricks of the trade of how to apply that to the practical areas.
Thank you so much, sir.
That has been really helpful, sir. I look forward
Yes,
to it.
I'll
please.
definitely send the links to Usha ji, and
Thank
she
you.
will
Thank you,
share
sir.
those links with
Yes,
you.
sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Any other question?
Somebody else wanted to ask any question?
Pradeep Karmakar.
So if there are no more questions, we would not retain sir for a longer time if you
Yeah,
are
no
not
problem.
posing questions.
If there are questions still,
Yes.
you can
Hmm.
send those questions to me by email.
Sure, sir.
Okay, sir.
I'll be in touch with you.
Yes, sir.
I can answer those questions.
So nice of you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes.
I thank the authorities of Sita Lakshmi Ramaswamy College, Etraj College, and Sharada College and A.M. Jain College for having and Global Sanskrit Forum for this beautiful arrangement of the webinar of today that we got to hear Dr. Nagaraj Paturi, who had been a very great resource person, and every word of his carried a lot of depth of all that knowledge that he had got in the Sanskrit language and in the study that he had, the analysis that he had made in the emerging trends and also in the ancient trends. And it had been a very great opportunity for all of us to listen to you, sir. So I thank Dr. Nagaraj Paturi, and Dr. Usha, I thank you so much for arranging such a beautiful lecture for our sake. It had been a very great session. Thank you, ma'am. And Dr. Durga, I thank you, and Dr. Lata, and all of you, the scholars who have turned in today to hear to this wonderful talk. Thank you so much.
Durga Parameshwari ji came after Usha ji started. She wanted
Yes.
to speak, so let us give an opportunity to her.
Sure,
Durga
sir.
Parameshwari ji, please speak now.
Yes, sir. Namaste, sir.
Namaste.
It was a very
I saw
great
you
session,
being
sir.
interested in speaking. Yeah, please go ahead.
It was a very nice session, sir. Actually, these types of uh, topics should be go to the reach the students so that they
Yes.
can take up or they should not have any doubt what should they take up in the future, and without any doubt they can carry on their higher studies or whatever they
In
will do.
the first year, when they come with their parents to the college itself, when they are looking for choices, then you should establish a stall somewhere, have a table or canopy or something like that, and educate the parents about the opportunities for Sanskrit education, new IKS areas that are developing, new applications that are developing. I think the parents usually think about career opportunities only.
Yes.
So
Very
if they
valid.
come to know that there are good opportunities for Sanskrit, they will encourage their children to go up to PhD also in Sanskrit. So as teachers, I encourage all of you to talk to the parents at the time of admission only. After the admission happens, nothing can be changed. So
What
you-
you say is very relevant, sir. Students are ready to take up, but parents do not allow.
so
There are
we
a
should
lot of
educate the
such
parents
instances.
also. We should educate the parents also about the future for Sanskrit. They will definitely encourage their children to join these courses. Okay, namaste. So
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for the insight, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. It was so
Thank
nice.
you, sir.
namaste, namaste.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Usha, for bringing an eminent scholar and enlightening us all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sorry, Durga. I just dropped your opportunity. Sorry.
And no issues, ma'am.
Not at
No
all,
issues.
ma'am. Not at
I'll
all.
take another opportunity.
No, we are fortunate that you're ready to take up any, a threat that's posing us sometimes because of the internet problem and such
Because
things.
I did not want to waste the time, and I
Exactly.
want to give a lot of time to the resource person so that we can get a lot of ideas. That is why.
Sure, ma'am.
Sorry,
That is so
next
thoughtful.
time opportunity will be given to you, Durga. Sorry.
That is
Thank
so
you so much,
thoughtful
ma'am.
of you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So nice to have all of you here. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, all
Okay,
the
thank you.
participants. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anusha. Thank you, Usha. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
Namaskara.
Namaskaram.
Bye.
Thank you, Durga.